Hello. Today we're going to be making a gigantic bench in an L shape with a planter in the middle, completely out of 2x4s for one of my great friends, Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. A few weeks back, Stephanie contacted me because she needed a gigantic bench for the out front of her salon. She was given a grant by the village to spruce up the front of her building, and lucky me, I was offered the job, so I took it right away. This is a fairly simple job that I think most people could do with basic tools, but it's very tedious. I think I ended up buying about 30 2x4s to make this project happen. Anyway, let's move on to making this bench. So far, all I've done is measure and start making cuts for the frame for the seat of this bench. While making the seat for this bench, I knew that I wanted my 2x4s to be up on their end. If you have your 2x4s laying on their sides for the seat, they could have a tendency to flex and have more give. So I pre-drilled all my holes using my Craig jig bit. Then I could screw this together, and I'll be filling those holes in with dowels later so you can't see where I drilled the holes. For the corners of this seat, I used glue and my brad nailer. That's because I was cutting 45-degree angles at the corners so you wouldn't see the butt end of a 2x4. I just thought it would look a lot nicer that way. I used my miter saw to make all of these cuts, but you could definitely go ahead and use a circular saw or a table saw with a sled. Once I had that bench top all glued, screwed, and nailed together, I moved on to cutting a humongous stack of 2x4s. I won't waste your time showing you me cutting all of these 2x4s, but let me tell you, I had to cut a lot. After that, I threw together this quick little jig, I guess, or form. After that, I threw together this quick little form that I could build my stacked 2x4s around. This will help me keep everything square along the way and make sure that the two ends match each other well. I started by screwing these 2x4s together, but then quickly decided that using my framing nailer would make this a much faster job, so I went ahead and got that out, built up this stack, then I could knock out that form and I'll have a nice square stack of 2x4s. Then I built this other form and made a much larger stack of 2x4s. This is going to go in the center where the plant stand is. This will make more sense in a second. And there you go. You're starting to see the basic shape of how this is going to work. I had to fill in some little gaps here and there so that when this plant stand is on top of this, you don't see any weird spots that look unappealing to the eye. I cut a little 45 there, filled that in, screwed it in from underneath. So once I had this all together, had the plant stand part on the top, I got out these pieces of wood that I thought I would be using for the seat. These are just 3/4 inch, 8-inch wide pieces of pine, and I don't know what I was thinking. This is definitely not going to work, especially since this is going to be outside. These are going to curl. Eventually I ended up changing that to treated 2x10s that I had laying around, and I was able to stain to match. I filled in the gaps with my daughter on the top here. That's because I'm going to be putting a frame around this, and I don't want any weird spots where you can see through it. I just thought it would look nicer this way. I hammered in these 2x4s right here so that the plant would have something to sit on when it was in the plant stand. Now I'm cutting the 45s for this little frame that will frame in where the plant will go. I screwed these 2x4s into the inside of the plant stand so that the potted plant would stop moving around so much because it was not as tight as I expected. I glued and brad nailed on this frame, and then I could move on to putting dowels into all the pre-drilled holes I had from earlier. After that, it was time to move on to staining. I got this outdoor sealer called Ready Seal off of Amazon, and let me tell you, I am so thrilled with the way this stuff worked. It's not a sealer that's going to peel off later and you have to sand and reseal. And because this is a really good friend of mine, I'll probably go over next year or the year after and restain this whole bench for her. But Ready Seal got great reviews and I was really happy with the way it went on. And to top this all off, I went back and burned everything with this big torch because she wanted a little bit darker than it was, and also burning wood is supposed to help protect it from the weather. I attached these little rubber feet to help keep this whole entire project up off the ground so it won't get wet underneath and begin to rot. And there's me and my dad moving this onto the property. My dad's always there to help me move this stuff onto people's properties. Thank you, Dad, so much for that. I appreciate it. I brought it over in pieces and was able to screw it all together right there in front of her salon. I originally put that 1x material on for the bench and quickly realized that it just wasn't a good idea, so I don't have footage of it. But I went home and grabbed those 2x10s that you see right there as the new bench top, and I think that looks much nicer. I'm really happy with the way this came out, and I believe this is a project that anybody can do. It's just stacked 2x4s. You just got to make sure you keep them square. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Later, dudes.